Hey, I'm Adam with PAD again. We're standing at kind of our broken parts area here. Somebody from the back, a tech or somebody, usually brings up the part of the week. So this is all broken stuff, failed, one reason or another. Pretty good talking points. So this helps us kind of articulate stuff to our customers. We'll show them some of the current stuff with their vehicles and how we find them to fail. We will start here with the infamous Dodge ecodiesel. So this is the little diesel motor that's in the half-ton pickup trucks. Our problem here is a great demonstration is look how clogged these ports are. So these are the intake runners, and these would be the intake runner flaps, electronically controlled, and they have a motor on them, and you can see how much buildup we have in here. This is all carbon, and that is from the effects of recirculating your exhaust gases on a diesel engine, not sizing the ports big enough. So all this stuff clogs up and eventually sticks all this stuff, and then it starts to plug the after treatment of the vehicle because it has all kinds of flow problems, airflow issues. So we start here, then we plug up all the after treatment, and it's a failed system. The prevention of this problem is getting the intake cleaning. So we have an injection cleaning system. We put it on the truck. It will clean all this stuff before it creates a problem. Really, they need to get done every year or two on these vehicles. Moving down, so some transmission parts right off the bat. So we have a snapped input shaft here, twisted one here. This piece is off of a ZR1 Corvette. This is the really expensive $8,000 brake kit. That's the carbon fiber brake rotor that has snapped off. And then we have some 6-liter diesel, so Ford 6-liter diesel pump gears here that have eaten themselves, and we've got chunks in here that are missing. This is the low pressure oil pump, and that has failed. So we got that. We have a transmission pump that has broken in half here. Moving on, this is the CP4 injection pump we've all heard about failing. This one did actually have a full lockup and broke the pump in half. And this is the one that sends all the metal down the fuel system. If you look really close at this, when this pump internally fails, the piston fails in this cylinder, it starts to shed this metal. This is the regulator, fuel pressure regulator. This is what it looks like inside the CP4. This is all the metal that goes downstream and ends up getting in all your fuel injectors and eventually circulates back to the tank, pollutes the entire system. Moving on here, we have the 2011 to 2016 EGR cooler that's on the Ford 6.7 Super Duty. What happens on this is you can see our exhaust flow is going this way through this. Exhaust gas recirculation, the engine's going to try to cool that down before we put it back in the intake. This has coolant on one side and we have exhaust gases going through the other, so all that carbon plugs this thing up. All these ports are too small. The 17 and newer fits in the 16 and down, so this is the problem one, which is the first gen. The second gen fits in this setup, and we usually switch these trucks over to the larger ported second gen. Moving down, we have the Ford 6.4 piston. These motors are nicknamed the piston poppers, and the reason is because of this. This piston is broke right in half. If you look really closely, you can see right there is where the piston first started to break. It started to erode away. The reason is all these have a casting flaw. If we look at the distance between this cooling port and the inside wall of the piston, it's different. This side is much thinner than what this side is. This was a very common occurrence on all these pistons, and wherever it was closer would be the first place it would start to erode. So it would erode metal fatigue over time, and it would break that out of there. And then we allow a spot for the piston to break in the cylinder. This one stayed intact and just had a very hefty misfire from no compression. Got very lucky, didn't window the block. Next up, this is a failed planetary out of a 4R100 transmission. And you can see we got our sun gear and planetaries, and we've just stripped all the way out there. So this was a leave you on the side of the road transmission failure. Then from there, we've got the first gen on the turbochargers on the Ford 6.7. This would be the 2011 through 14. And see how much oil was coming out of this thing. We see this all the time. This is what's known as a dual scroll turbo. So there's one impeller in here. We have two outlets which each create boost. One would be the higher RPM outlet and the other is the lower RPM. So they're set to spool fast and get you air immediately on one side of the impeller. The other side of this impeller, which is the second side, is made to put out the bigger boost up top. Problem is, these surge the turbo. One of the impeller surges one way at low speed. At high speed, the impeller surges the other way because one of them ends up becoming the dominant boost tube after the turbo spools up. That takes these things out. Ford figured this out eventually, or Garrett did, and got rid of this design. Anyways, that's Adam, another PAD Pro Tip.